Hi, my name is kathybickle. I'm from Washington State. Um, I'm doing this video to tell you guys about a story of my father's. He is a 26-year-old vet from the Special Forces, and he got injured during his time and has been treated rather poorly from the Veterans Administration. Um, Yeah, so I kind of wanted to go into a bit of that and how it's affected him and his family, including me, and his overall life, his thoughts on everything, have really been detrimented by something as simple as pain medication. So, yeah, I just wanted to go into that. And he gave me the story that he wanted me to write. He wants this story shared, and he doesn't know that I'm doing this video for him. So I'm going to go ahead and read his story, and hopefully this will spread the word of the Veterans Administration's policies and how messed up they really have been, over the years, because his injury happened in 1986, I believe. So I'll go more into that when I read the story. So let's go ahead and read it. My experiences with Military Veterans Administration Healthcare. Chapter 1. The night halo, which means high altitude, low opening, combat equipment jump. And this took place in Fort Lewis, Washington, April of 1986. I was the jump master, and all went well until I came into land. The medic on the ground said a big gust of wind came over the tree line and hit my parachute. It stalled, and I fell on my back from about 10 feet up. I think it knocked me out. It dislocated my left wrist, broke the shit out of the right. I'd put the parachute steel ripcord handle over my wrist, and it made matters worse. In surgery, they put 2 temporary pins in the left hand to hold things in place. They began putting the right back together. It took 2 permanent pins and 4 temporary, which were removed a few months later. After surgery, I woke up with no feeling or movement in my right hand. I thought my career was over. The x-rays showed that the bones were far out of alignment. Back into surgery, they removed some pins, rebroke the bone, opened the top of my hand, and took a bone graft to hold the bone up in place. After surgery, my hand felt like it was burning. A few hours later, the feeling and movement returned, thank God. This time, the x-rays showed there was still a step down, but it was barely acceptable. Rather than go in and break the bone a third time and do another bone graft, they recommend that I just live with the step down. I said okay. They told me I would have clunking of the bones together during certain movements. I would have pinching of nerves, etc. in the step down. I would also get arthritis. A permanent pin could prove to be semi-permanent and come loose. All of the above happened. The pin came loose in April of 1999, 2 months after my retirement. All I knew was, all of a sudden, I had a god-awful pain in my wrist. I was getting care at the new Madigan Hospital, and they x-rayed it. The colonel, head of orthopedics, read the x-rays. He proclaimed a pin had moved a half an inch into the surrounding tissues. His misreading of these x-rays doomed me to a year and a half of incredible pain. They told me the wrist still had a step down, of course, but they saw nothing that would cause me so much pain. I went home, and my wife asked how the appointment went. I told her a pin had moved a half an inch, was still in the bone, and they saw nothing that would cause me so much pain. I tried to mow the lawn. I screamed and didn't finish. After about 3 months of pain, I went back to the orthopedics. Each time I saw a different intern. The colonel himself never actually examined me. The second visit was like the first. A new intern listened to my story, the emphasis being my pain and how it was affecting my ability to write or type. He said, "I'll bounce it off the colonel." He came back and politely blew me off with the familiar phrase, "We don't see anything that would be causing you so much pain. I went home and the wife asked how it went. I told her the phrase. I developed a tremor in my right hand. It hurt like hell, and I would do what I could to stop it. I finally returned to the orthopedics, and a new intern in training had me perform a test in which electrodes were attached to my fingers and arms, which sent electrical pulses through my nerves. This lasted 10 to 12 intervals. This was the result? Minor carpal tunnel, and they saw nothing that would cause a tremor. The orthopedics gave me 800 milligram Motrin and sent me home. I told the wife what happened. About a year into my situation, I made visit number 4 to the orthopedics. I could no longer write, type, or do anything with my right hand. Some mornings, all my fingers would be swollen. I saw a different intern again. Same old story. I went home feeling as though I had entered hell. No one believed my pain. Certainly not the colonel. I grew suicidal. Then things started to happen. Washington Mutual foreclosed on our home. My wife took off and left me with the kids. She figured I was a hypochondriac that refused to get a job. All that, and I began the descent into self-doubt. Maybe the pain was in my head. I questioned my perception of pain. It was like doubting your very integrity. Was it real? My last visit to the orthopedics, I didn't give a fuck. Polite, I was not. I had a young female intern, and I unloaded on her. I yelled, I swore, I jumped up and down and stabbed my finger at my wrist. She actually listened to me. I laid out 3 logical reasons for my argument. Number 1, the pins were put in flush with the bone. If it's moved 1/2 an inch, it's out of the bone. Number 2, the pain is being caused by something. The only thing that changed was the pin moving a 1/2 inch. The pin is out of the bone. Number 3, the pain is most certainly on the location of the pin. She went and brought back the colonel. He grabbed me by the arm and clogged his way to the machine, I believe a fluoroscope, put my wrist under it and looked at the pin on the screen. It was indeed sticking out of the bone, 1/2 an inch. The arrogant little shit turned white as paper. He said, the pin is out of the bone, 1/2 an inch. I can get you into surgery in 3 weeks. In the meantime, I will prescribe you oxycodone for the pain. How does that sound? I felt like crushing his throat. He could have done that a year and a half ago if he wasn't so cocksure of his reading on the x-rays. On September 4th, they removed the fucking pin. I've kept all the pins somewhere. They checked the last remaining pin to ensure that it wouldn't be a future problem. Then, the colonel told me there was a tremendous amount of damage due to the pin. I said, no shit. Basically, everything within reach of the pin was damaged. Nerves, tendons, all of it. A week after the surgery, I still had trouble using my right hand and any use of it hurt. One evening, I put the kids to bed, turned up the stereo, and I started popping 800 milligram Motrins. Big fuckers. I took one at a time. I got to about 6 or 7 when my daughter walked out, saw what I was doing, and called 911. Saved my life. I knew I was messed up. My stepson finally hauled me into the VA. I never again entered Fort Lewis. I felt betrayed. Chapter 2, the VA. My initial care with the VA was good. My primary provider was a PA and a former Special Forces medic. We got along famously. He took good care of me and I trusted Tom. Tom put me on 5 milligrams oxycodone for the persistent pain. I was in almost constant pain and any use of my right hand caused me tremendous pain. I can judge how much pain a particular activity is going to bring me. I got an excellent shrink, Dr. Heinrich Hammond. I love the guy, like a father. I credit him, marijuana, and cartoons with keeping me alive the last 13 years. It seemed like no matter how fucked up I was, Dr. Hammond's calm, wise words would bring me down back to earth. A few things he told me that may seem trite, but I still need them today. Nothing is an emergency. Don't do anything. This too shall pass. You're okay. He got me on Paxil, Risperidone, and lithium. Works well. Everything went pretty well for about 9 years in American Lake. Then my pain level went really up. Either the injury was acting up or the oxycodone was no longer working. Tom retired and I experienced a fast turnover in the doctors. I finally got one who really listened, and he said that he would raise the oxycodone dosage to 10 milligrams, but he wanted me to work with the pain clinic in Seattle. I said okay. I called the pain clinic and they told me in order to be in the program, I'd have to attend 4 weekly day-long classes in Seattle. Ugh, I hate driving, much less to Seattle, but I agreed. I fought the traffic and parking, paid for gas, and learned about axon dendrite synapses. So glad I know that. I'm a better person for that. After the 4 sessions, they said that everyone who signed in for the classes will be in the program unless you smoke marijuana. Otherwise, you cannot. Why didn't they tell us that before I drove up there 4 times for 4 days of mostly nonsense? My faith in the VA was waning. A few weeks later, I got a letter from the VA stating, effective immediately, we are cutting you off of your narcotic pain medication due to your marijuana use. What the hell did my pot use have to do with the pain medication? This wasn't medically sound, it was purely punitive. The guys at the DEA were probably sitting around and one thought, I know, let's fuck with the vets. It was an absurd policy, and about a year later, too, it passed. They put me back on oxycodone, but back at 5 milligrams, hoping to once again raise it to 10. I had moved to the new, much closer Chehalis clinic. It cut the drive time in half. Half the traffic and parking is much easier. I knew I had a problem when my doctor would never listen to me and I wouldn't explain shit. 3 things happened in April of 2014. My pain levels went up. My tremor returned and it couldn't be allowed to shake. It's too painful. Finally, my nightmare medication quit working. I moved into a tent in the backyard of my home. Now, I wake up drenched in cold sweat and change into dry clothes I have to set aside just for the occasion. On a good morning, I cannot recall much of my dreams, and I only have to deal with the morning pain and the fucking tremor. On a bad morning, I instantly recall startling, disturbing flashbacks to the nightmare, and I spend all morning shaking, whistling, panting, and trying to deal with the shit. If I had slept on my right forearm, the pain is intense, deep wrist pain. Sometimes I just lay there and sob. Chehalis didn't have a mental health care provider for about a year, and I couldn't wait any longer. I tried to ask my Chehalis doctor about increasing the oxycodone to 10 milligrams, and she just cut me off and changed the subject. You'd think I asked her about anal sex or something. When I tried to mention the return of my tremor, she got target fixation on tremor and diagnosed me with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease? What the hell is that? What can I expect? Is it fatal? She went on to the next subject after prescribing Parkinson's tremor medications. I do not have Parkinson's disease. I took the medications for 1 month, then threw them out. My tremor is perhaps psychosomatic, a reaction to the pain increase. It does occur with the pain. I am terrified the pin is out of the bone pain. If that level of pain occurs constantly again, I will blow my brains out. Sorry. So I made the required calls to move back to American Lake. They told me to make an intake appointment. So I tried to make a mental health appointment. They said, "You don't need a mental health appointment. Dr. Gulamali will square you away with the mental health department." I didn't like the sound of that. I really needed a mental health appointment to renew my prescriptions, check on my nightmare medications, and just get a second opinion of how I was doing. My appointment was at 1300 hours, 1 p.m., and I showed up 10 minutes early. Because I was taught, if you ain't 10 minutes early, you ain't late. You're late. The doctor didn't see me until an hour and 23 minutes past appointment time. Doctor said, "Sorry for the wait, but everyone showed up at once." Who showed up? There's a sign upon entering American Lake that says, "No emergent care." I told Dr. Gulamali that my two primary concerns were the pain and the need to renew my psych medication. He looked at my wrist. He was the first doctor to do so in 14 years. Then, 2 weeks later, my pain medication was cut off entirely. There was no letter like before, no notification at all. The meds just stopped coming. Pretty rude. My faith in the VA sunk further. Gulamali took me over to the psych department and they talked. I heard something about someone being gone for a week. I didn't like the sound of that. The appointment suddenly ended. No summation, no idea of what had been done and what had not. Nothing about a future appointment. I left and went to the pharmacy to pick up my meds. It was a long wait. Too long. I phoned the pharmacy and was told all of my psych medication was expired. That's what you do at appointments, is get your medication squared away. I was livid. I think everyone saw me as someone without a shrink for over a year, and someone else had made themselves indispensable. When they're gone, nothing happens. After a week, I walked in the psych department and told them I wasn't leaving until someone saw me. I saw Terry, whom once seen me at Chehalis before she moved up to American Lake. I was pretty fucked up. Nightmares and the pain were teaming up to kill my ass. And now I had anxiety and constant little electric brain jolts. Terry squared my medication away, but for the prazosin, which she started at 1 milligram dosage, it quit working 14 months earlier at 3 milligrams. Nightmares are bleeding over into my day, screwing me up until noon or later. Terry called. Up the prazosin dose further. God, I have my fingers crossed. I find it totally absurd that the VA leadership prohibits all of its doctors from raising the dose of narcotic pain medication. This is found in Directive 1005. They put the VA out of the chronic pain business. The leadership either doesn't believe in chronic pain or they have no conscience. You people are fucking with the wrong veteran. In conclusion, I have a very strong distrust of doctors and medical systems. If you don't treat my pain, you can't treat my brain. And that's the end. My father has been dealing with this for a very long time. It's obviously, affected him, his family, how we see the VA medical system. It really isn't fair for them to take away their pain medication, especially when they need it. They're not addicts. They've been through some of the worst experiences a person could possibly go through. And to not treat them with the care and respect that they need is completely rude and disrespectful and unethical in a way. So I want everybody to know his story, and I want to hear other stories. He wants to hear other stories. We want this to get to where it needs to be so that this policy can be changed. because it's been happening for far too long and he can't handle it. I'm sure there's others out there that cannot handle it. If you need to get a hold of us, you can reach me at my email. It's kathybickle@yahoo.com. You can call his cell phone. He is Chief Randy Petersen. His phone number is 360-951-0516. I'm sure there'll be other ways of contacting us if this gets big. I'm sure there's other people that have had experiences close or similar to what my father has experienced. So thank you for watching this, and I appreciate everybody's input. Thank you.